She felt too mortified to discuss her situation until she learned that her physician was a young millionaire who empathized with her suffering. The clinic's walls were recently painted. The aroma of antiseptic remains pungent in the atmosphere. Lena entered, grasping her appointment slip as if it were a shield. The newly established dermatology center was contemporary, too sterile, and overly illuminated, prompting her immediate remorse for attending. She despised medical appointments. Miss Tran, a nurse, made a call. Lena raised her hand rigidly, attempting to avoid contact with any object. She trailed the nurse along an immaculate corridor, her gaze directed at the floor. The nurse gestured for her to take a seat in the examination room. "We will simply assess your temperature," she stated with a rehearsed smile. Before Lena could protest, the nurse delicately placed her hand on Lena's forearm to position the thermometer. A sudden, intense pain coursed through her skin. Lena gasped and instinctively withdrew her arm. "I instructed you not to touch me." The nurse halted. "I apologize, I did not mean to." The door opened before she could complete her sentence. A tall man in a white coat entered, exuding calm confidence, with deep-set eyes and meticulously styled black hair. The label on his chest stated, "Dr. Marcus Williams." "Is everything satisfactory?" he inquired, his tone steady yet authoritative. She responded when I made contact with her arm. "I did not intend to." "She possesses Alan." Marcus spoke bluntly, directing his gaze at Lena rather than the nurse. "Am I correct?" Lena's defenses were heightened. "Indeed," she responded with caution. "Contact allodynia," he remarked, placing his tablet aside, "based on your response." She squinted. "How could you ascertain that without consulting my file?" "I do not require documentation to identify pain when I observe it," he stated composedly. "Your movements indicate neuropathic response rather than dread." The nurse reiterated her apology and promptly departed. Lena sat rigidly, grasping her elbows. "You must be Dr. Williams, the newcomer." Her tone was frigid. "I am," he stated, drawing a stool near, yet not excessively so. "Dr. Marcus Williams. I focus on dermatological immunological diseases and chronic pain syndromes." Lena murmured, "Good for you." Marcus retrieved a pair of soft cotton gloves from a drawer and presented them to her. "These could be beneficial. Hypoallergenic. During the forthcoming visit, you may utilize them for your protection prior to commencement." Lena scrutinized the gloves before directing her gaze at him. She donned them gradually. "You are distinct." He elevated an eyebrow. "Due to my awareness of your circumstance." "No, as you did not regard me as irrational." Her voice had become somewhat gentler. Marcus interacted with his tablet. "You are presently administered gabapentin and a topical lidocaine. I have been engaged in it for some months. It is unhelpful." He gazed upward. "They are addressing the incorrect pathway. Nerve dampening is unnecessary. Nerve retraining is necessary. I request your consent to modify your protocol. The process entails microstimulation therapy and regulated desensitization for a duration of 8 weeks. She squinted. "In that manner." Another physician presuming superior knowledge. "No," he stated, his tone unwavering. "Not in that manner. I have no intention of impressing you. I am endeavoring to assist you in alleviating your pain." She laughed, acerbic and incisive. "What is your concern?" "Many physicians behave as though I am fabricating this information." He halted, then gazed directly into her eyes. "I lost someone to this." Lena became immobile. "My sister," he stated softly. "Lon. She was 14. Her suffering went unacknowledged. They believed she was exaggerating. She had an infection due to excessive medication for burns. Her immune system deteriorated. She succumbed in the hospital after years of being informed that her condition was psychosomatic. The ensuing hush was dense and palpable. Lena expressed her apologies in a soft voice. Marcus stated that it is unnecessary to be. "However, I do." She averted her gaze, yet her tone had altered. "What is the significance? Are you now attempting to save every female who evokes memories of her?" He declined. "I now endeavor to perform my duties more effectively than I did previously." Lena released a breath. The gloves on her hands felt more supple than anticipated. He stood and presented her with a folder containing the planned treatment plan. "Peruse it. No obligation. Return if you wish to attempt." As he began to depart, she cried out to him. "What if it fails to function?" He glanced behind him. "We persistently attempt until we achieve a successful outcome." That evening, Lena reclined in bed while still wearing the gloves. She gazed at the unexamined folder on her nightstand. For once, she had a sensation akin to curiosity rather than terror. This time may indeed be different. Lena had not intended to return. Following her initial consultation with Dr. Marcus Williams, she returned home, discarded the treatment folder onto the kitchen counter, and neglected it for several days. It remained as a tacit invitation to trust, a sentiment she had long abandoned. That night, she envisioned her skin shedding in layers, with unseen flames caressing her arms. She awoke, breathless and drenched in perspiration, her fingers trembling as they clutched the gloves Marcus had bestowed upon her. She remained distrustful of him. Nonetheless, she could not refute one fact. He had gazed into her eyes, disregarding her condition and chart, focusing solely on her, and that stare had rendered her feel more like an individual than a mere specimen. Nonetheless, that did not imply she was prepared. 3 days later, her phone vibrated. A communication from the clinic. Dr. Williams has kept your plan available should you decide to continue. No cost, only optimism. She removed the message. The subway was congested that afternoon, the atmosphere saturated with moisture-laden jackets and unexpressed irritation. Lena was returning home following an infrequent excursion outdoors. She required groceries, and it took her over an hour to mentally prepare for the outing. Upon boarding the train, she was forcefully jostled by another passenger, an elbow to the side through the moist fabric of her blouse. The anguish was immediate, like to flames igniting just beneath her epidermis. She bit her lip, attempting to suppress a scream. Her sight became indistinct. She grasped for a handrail but failed to secure it. The world shifted, causing her knees to give way. Her sole thought was, disembark. She exited at the subsequent station, scarcely perceiving the signage. Her arms encircled her body as if to contain the anguish within. The rain met her with frigid blows as she surfaced. She acted without contemplation, merely walking. The clinic's lights remained illuminated. The receptionist was taken aback to find her soaked, with reddened eyes, not listed on the itinerary. Lena stated, her voice quivering, that she needed an appointment with Dr. Williams. He is currently attending to a patient. Nonetheless, please inform him that I am calling. He will be aware. 10 minutes later, Marcus arrived at the door. Initially, he remained silent, merely gazing at her. The drenched hair, the manner in which she extended her arms from her body as if they were fractured wings. He moved aside. Enter. She seated herself, still quaking. A towel was draped over her shoulders. For an extended duration, the sole auditory presence was the drone of the overhead illumination. She then spoke without making eye contact with him. I have altered my perspective, yet it does not imply I have confidence in you. He acquiesced. It is not necessary for you to do so. I can no longer endure this situation. I can no longer feign contentment when I cannot even board the train without experiencing excruciating discomfort. Marcus positioned himself opposite her, hands clasped. He refrained from speaking immediately. Upon doing so, his voice was subdued. My sister Josie was 16 years old. She was diagnosed with a lesser form of allodynia at a late stage. They administered steroid creams, analgesics, and nerve suppressants. Excessive. Her dermis became attenuated. She contracted an infection. Her body was unable to combat it. Lena ultimately raised her gaze. His visage was inscrutable, yet his eyes betrayed his emotions. She perished in my embrace, he concluded. I vowed never to allow such to occur to another individual. She swallowed hard, determined to prevent it. Is it the reason you established this establishment? In part, the remainder. Perhaps to demonstrate to myself that I could accomplish something substantial, something of significance. She acquiesced with a deliberate nod. He rose, approached a cupboard, and extracted a slender case. Contained therein were small replicas of the gloves he had presented to her, along by a written weekly schedule. He stated that there are no fees. This is a component of a continuous study for desensitization therapy. It is imperfect. Pain is inevitable. Although this strategy is designed for individuals like you. Lena grasped the gloves, manipulating them in her hands. You stated that you will provide evidence. Not verbally. Marcus locked eyes with her. Results without guarantees, only advancement. For the first time in years, Lena was convinced that someone was sincere. She secured the gloves beneath her arm and rose. She stated that she would return next week. Marcus acquiesced. We will go gradually, one step at a time. Outside, the rain had diminished to a drizzle, yet for Lena, the tempest had already begun to recede. The initial week of treatment was uneventful. No significant advancements, no extraordinary occurrences, but silence and organization. Lena executed the plan devised by Marcus with meticulous accuracy. She consumed the anti-inflammatory supplements each morning and rigorously followed the nerve-calming diet. Absence of coffee, sugar, and processed foods. Each evening, she engaged in guided meditation that he had recorded, his voice calm and deep in her ears as she inhaled through the persistent discomfort in her arms, back, and legs. She did not anticipate feeling altered. However, gradually an inward transformation commenced. Her skin still erupted, albeit with reduced intensity. Her concern regarding touch diminished towards the peripheries. She paused, not flinching when her skin made contact with the pillowcase at night. She visited the clinic every Wednesday. Marcus was present every Wednesday. He did not assign her file to an assistant or an intern. He refrained from communicating via nurses. He personally encountered her. Clipboard grasped, gloves donned, gaze steady. How is the quality of your sleep? 3 hours, she would assert. We will endeavor to achieve 4. What is the status of the diet? She would murmur her want for chocolate. Excellent. This indicates that you remain human. Each session lasted about 20 minutes, and those minutes represented the sole opportunity throughout the week for her to exhale. He seldom inquired extensively, and she refrained from providing responses. They convened in solitude. The time was approximately 7:30 p.m. On a Thursday, Marcus secured his office and proceeded to the clinic's entrance. The personnel had departed for the day. The janitor's cart was stationed in the corridor. The illumination was subdued. Subsequently, he beheld her. Lena sat curled in a lobby chair, her arms encircling her knees, with her forehead resting on her forearm. She donned her gloves. Her purse rested on the floor besides to her. Her jacket draped freely over one shoulder. He hesitated. Lena, he uttered gently. Her head jerked upward, taken aback. I apologize for unintentionally staying so late. He advanced nearer. Is there an issue? She exhibited reluctance. The buses are at full capacity. I waited for 30 minutes. It is peak traffic time. Excessive population. Excessive abundance of all things. Marcus observed through the glass doors. The metropolis thrummed outside the window. Vivid, cacophonous, oppressive. I can summon a vehicle for you. She declined with a shake of her head. I cannot jeopardize another unfamiliar individual. Not this evening. He assented gradually. Silently, he unfastened his coat and delicately placed it over her shoulders. She became immobilized, not due to fear, nor pain, but for an alternative reason. The coat was warm, well-worn, and faintly scented with clean soap and cedarwood. It encased her like a shell, not confining her, but safeguarding her. I shall remain with you, Marcus stated, taking a seat in the chair adjacent to hers. You need not speak, merely sit. She gazed at him, and for the first time, her eyes lacked the usual skepticism or defiance. They were soft, nearly resembling William's neural. After a prolonged pause, she remarked softly, "That is the inaugural instance." He glanced across, intrigued. It was the first instance in which I did not experience pain when someone approached. He remained expressionless. He refrained from making a joke. He merely nodded as though the assertion warranted veneration. Your restoration, he stated. They sat in silence, not the type that required interruption, but one that conveyed mutual understanding. That evening, he remained until the crowd diminished and escorted her to a vehicle with a driver he deemed reliable. He did not linger. He opened the door, nodded, and remarked, "See you next week." As the car departed, Lena observed him in the rearview mirror, his hands in his pockets, and his shoulders at ease. Neither a physician nor a redeemer, only as somebody who opted to remain amidst the cacophony of the world. She would not overlook that. Lena donned short sleeves in public for the first time in nearly a year. The midday light was gentle, the air invigorating, and she felt courageous. She queued at the checkout of a modest grocery store, her basket containing fresh fruit, oats, and the dark chocolate that Marcus had advised her to sample in moderation. She nearly grinned when making the payment. Perhaps circumstances were evolving. The sidewalk was congested with individuals hurrying from work, jostling against one another among a cacophony of sounds and a multitude of bodies. She remained near the wall, her heart beating slightly, yet calming with each breath. She was unaware of his approach. A man clad in a leather vest, reeking of cigarettes and booze, forcefully pushed through the confined area near the alley entrance. His arm struck her exposed shoulder forcefully. Immediate dermal contact. Lena inhaled sharply and then shouted. It was immediate. Her skin flared. The searing electric pain surged through her side. She collapsed into the pavement, grasping her arm, weeping and trembling uncontrollably. "Do not touch me," she exclaimed, her voice trembling. "I possess a medical ailment. I am not fainting." The man pivoted, initially startled, then perplexed, and finally derisive. "What is your problem?" Lena attempted to retreat, her breathing shallow. "Please, just refrain." "Ah, I comprehend," he remarked, surveying the small assembly that was forming. "Little Miss Princess here is averse to any contact. She must be intolerant of commoners." A member of the crowd laughed. Lena blinked rapidly, her pain transforming into humiliation. "Do you believe you are superior to us?" the man exclaimed. "I merely grazed your shoulder." "It's called allodynia," she murmured. "It is painful. I cannot endure this." "Oh, please," he derided, retrieving his phone. "Witness this grocery store meltdown. A girl shrieks excessively over a trivial matter." "No, stop," Lena implored. He activated the recording. She remained on the ground, her knees scraped and eyes tearful. The onlookers offered no assistance. They merely observed. "You're destined to go viral, darling," he remarked. The video was uploaded that evening, titled, "Unfortunate Girl Feigns Royalty, Overreacts to a Light Tap on the Arm." Within hours, it garnered over 80,000 views. The comments were harsh. "What a drama queen. Someone merely bumped you, not stabbed you. Another snowflake seeking attention. I bet she is attempting to profit from it. Likely a failed actress." This is the issue with these women. They perceive pain as aesthetic. By morning, it had become ubiquitous. Lena reclined on the floor of her apartment, her phone incessantly vibrating with incoming messages. Despite having deleted all applications, notifications continued to infiltrate her solitude. She draped a blanket over her head, swaying gently. Her shoulder ached, and her face flushed with humiliation. The entire world perceived her as a mere jest. She had reverted to the girl whom no one comprehended. She reverted to being the subject of scrutiny. She powered down her phone, disconnected the router, and nestled into the smallest corner of her bed, remaining there. The external world could perish. She chose to disengage. She skipped her subsequent session and disregarded Marcus's messages. Concise and straightforward. She viewed the video. "Contact me at your convenience. Do not allow this to overwhelm you. I will manage it." She was skeptical of his sincerity. No one could cope with this situation. It was too late. She was trending for unfavorable reasons. Once more, she was the girl whom no one dared to approach, both physically and emotionally. This time, she feared she might never recover from it. Lena failed to respond to the door on both the first and second knocks. Marcus remained outside her apartment building in the late afternoon sunlight, a paper bag in one hand and resolve in his gaze. He had witnessed the video, observing its rapid dissemination. He had perused the abhorrent comments, the derisive laughter, the unyielding cruelty. He had noted the moment she cried out in anguish, yet no one intervened. Upon his third knock, the door creaked ajar. She stood there, hoodie drawn over her head, eyes reddened, voice monotone. "What is your purpose for being here?" "I brought tea," he stated, presenting the bag. She gazed at him for a prolonged while before stepping away. Within, the apartment was dimly lit, curtains drawn, and silence palpable. "You ought not to be alone at this moment," Marcus remarked, placing the tea on the counter. "I am well." "You are not." She perched on the edge of the couch, arms crossed tightly. "They believe I am fabricating it. They are mistaken." "I am aware of that," she murmured. "However, they are indifferent." He positioned himself opposite her, maintaining a respectful distance. "Subsequently, we instill a sense of concern in them." She gazed at him intently. "Through what means?" "Hosting a lamentation gathering?" He declined. "By conveying the truth through science, with dignity, devoid of defensiveness, and with clarity." She remained silent for a moment. I cannot endure another wave of this. This time, you will not be solitary. She gazed at him once again, thoroughly examined. His serene countenance, his measured respiration. Neither pity nor fury, only conviction. Do you engage in the activity? Affirmative. I possess the platform. I possess the info. You possess courage. 2 days later, they convened in a tranquil studio, with dim lighting and a neutral backdrop. Marcus donned his white coat. Lena donned long sleeves, but omitted gloves. A monitor positioned behind them displayed diagrams of the neurological system. The video commenced. Marcus addressed the camera, stating, "This is Lena TR. She has a syndrome known as tactile allodynia, a rare neurological ailment in which even the slightest touch induces severe agony." Video footage was presented. Animated representations of aberrant nerve impulse activity. The skin reacted as though scorched by light pressure, and he persisted. It is not fictitious. It is not theatrical. It is quantifiable and impacts actual individuals. Lena addressed the group subsequently. Her voice was articulate yet gentle. I never aspired to fame. I have never wished to articulate my suffering to unfamiliar individuals. However, I must speak up, as remaining silent allows falsehoods to proliferate. She described the sensation of the anguish. A mere touch on her shoulder could evoke tears. How humiliation transformed into her habitual attire. She stated, I harbor no resentment towards the uninformed. My concern lies with those who obstinately reject knowledge. Marcus concluded the film with a singular remark. She is not seeking sympathy. She seeks comprehension. It was uploaded that night. By morning, it had achieved viral status, albeit in a distinct manner. This time, the globe heated. The remarks commenced to evolve. I was unaware of the existence of this illness. Thank you for elucidating. I hope others who ridiculed her are observing this and gaining insight. Lena, you possess more courage than you realize. I am diagnosed with fibromyalgia. I have experienced this type of pain. We appreciate your representation of numerous individuals. Your influence has prompted me to reevaluate my reactions to individuals experiencing distress. I apologize for ever questioning you. She perused the remarks sequentially, curled up on the couch, palms clasped to her mouth, not trembling, but astonished. She then retrieved her phone and messaged Marcus, expressing gratitude for his unwavering support in confronting the truth. His response was prompt. You accomplished that. I merely stood by you. For the first time since the video's release, Lena smiled, not due to the absence of pain, but because she felt visible. The morning breeze was milder that day. Lena may have simply become more aware of it. She paused outside the clinic, inhaling the late spring air. Her gloved fingers, no longer trembling as before, remained steady. She was uncertain whether this change was due to the treatment, the passage of time, or Marcus's unwavering gaze in that video. Steady, unshaken, authentic. Regardless of what it was, she did not falter as she opened the door. Within, everything was as she recalled, pristine, luminous, tranquil. However, there was an additional element present, warmth. Marcus welcomed her with a subtle smile, not from behind a desk or at a distance, but alongside a kettle on the corner counter. I prepared ginger tea, he remarked. You indicated previously that it alleviated the nausea. She blinked. You recalled. He presented her the cup with caution, ensuring their fingers did not make contact. I recall all your words when you aren't concealing them with sarcasm. He jested softly. She nearly laughed. Nearly. He indicated the customary examination chair, already prepared with a new cotton sheet. A thick wool shawl lay folded to the side. It belonged to her, a gift he had given after she had endured an entire session in silence while shivering. Still cold? He inquired. Not today, she said gently. Not anymore, he acknowledged. That's favorable. The examination started as usual, routine, methodical, unhurried. He scrutinized the healing patterns of her skin, the diminishing inflammation, and the reaction to gentle contact. He articulated his actions as per usual. However, today felt distinct. She did not flinch or recoil from the light, air, or the delicate touch of the cotton swab. Then arrived the pivotal moment. May I examine your wrist? He inquired. She acquiesced, extending her arm. His gloved fingers glided softly, caressing the inner contour of her wrist, the area that had been most sensitive for years. The slightest contact once ignited a sensation akin to fire. Now, there was nothing. No sting, no burn, no panic, merely warmth. She gazed at her wrist, then at his hand, and finally back at him. "Did you perceive that?" he inquired. She affirmed with a nod. "But it did not cause pain," he remarked, locking eyes with her. "Not in the slightest," he asked softly. "Not in the slightest," she replied, her voice quavering slightly. "It's the first occurrence in years. I did not even prepare for it." They lingered in silence for a moment. She gradually withdrew her hand, continuing to gaze at it. It resembled a touch. That was all. Marcus remained silent, merely smiling, a genuine, reassuring smile akin to a promise. "You are healing, Lena." She swallowed, her throat constricted. "It's not solely the treatment, is it?" "No," he replied candidly. "It's you. It's every step you persevered through." She exhaled unsteadily. Beyond the window, the city continued its relentless pace, with cars honking and people bustling. However, internally, time had decelerated. She scrutinized him once more. He was no longer merely the physician. He had become the individual who had witnessed her at her lowest, and had still arrived with tea, warm coats, and subtle encouragement. Now, with merely a tender touch on her wrist, he had bestowed upon her something she believed she had irrevocably forfeited: peace. "I believe I am prepared," she murmured. "For what?" he inquired. "To exist as though I am unbroken." Marcus refrained from offering accolades or eloquent expressions. He merely nodded, as if her statement were the most ordinary sentiment. Then, with the same patience he had consistently exhibited, he replied, "Let us proceed to the next step." The office walls were not frigid. Lena's initial observation was the array of vibrant abstract paintings adorning the hallway. Indoor plants were present, accompanied by the aroma of freshly brewed coffee and the gentle sound of laughter emanating from ajar doors. This marked her inaugural day at the design firm to which she had discreetly applied 3 weeks prior, harboring a muted hope that they would not contact her. However, they extended a full-time position to her following a single interview. Lena nearly declined the offer, as it filled her with trepidation. Yet, Marcus regarded her with sincerity and compassion, stating, "Fear is an inherent aspect of the journey. The distinction is that you are not solitary this time." Consequently, she acquiesced. Now positioned at a desk with a view of the window, her fingers lingered above the keyboard as her new supervisor grinned and remarked, "Simply begin gradually. Your work is already self-evident." She donned her long-sleeved blouse, with gloves in her purse as a precaution. No one inquired about her caution when extending her hand for a handshake. She talked carefully throughout orientation, her voice calm and steady. "I possess an unusual dermatological sensitivity. It is currently tolerable. Nonetheless, I continue to exercise cautious." They merely nodded. "We appreciate your notification," someone remarked. "Kindly specify your requirements." No inquiries, no sympathy, only respect. It was extraordinary. By midday, she was giggling, amused by a discussion over fonts and an individual's cat that despised serif. She had not comprehended the extent to which she longed for this type of mundane sound, nor the depth of her yearning for a sense of belonging. That evening, Marcus arrived in his automobile just outside her building. She had messaged him earlier, perhaps timidly. The initial day proceeded satisfactorily. "Would you like to discuss it?" He arrived 10 minutes later. She entered the passenger seat, her bag slung across one shoulder, hair gathered into a loose knot. "Well?" he inquired, already smiling. She cast him a glance. "That was peculiar," he arched an eyebrow. "Strange," she reiterated. No one stared or overreacted. One woman even solicited design advice, not in a manner suggesting curiosity about an illness. Marcus grinned. "Strange, it appears to be a promising beginning." She reclined her head against the seat. "I doubted my ability to accomplish it. Not a legitimate occupation, lacking interaction with others." He cast a fleeting look at her. "However, you did." She gazed through the window at the golden tint of the twilight sky. "Are you aware of the most peculiar aspect?" "What is the inquiry?" "I harbored no fear of their touch or their gaze." He grinned, maneuvering the wheel as they traveled beneath a line of cherry trees. "Lena, you are in the process of mending. Internally and externally." She released her breath gradually. "It continues to instill fear in me. What if it returns one day?" He acquiesced. We shall confront it once more. That is all. Not every conflict necessitates a permanent victory. Some are achieved gradually over time. They halted at a red signal. The vehicle was silent. Subsequently, he spoke gently. However, I believe you will be okay. She faced him. Be aware of the adage. Live as if you are unbroken. He acquiesced. I believe I have comprehended it at last. He failed to respond. Rather, he extended his arm, not to make contact with her, but to offer her an item. A drawing pad. She gradually opened it. A drawing was present on the first page. Delicate pencil strokes create an image of her positioned beneath a tree, head inclined towards the sky, eyes shut, serene. I observed you that day while you awaited the bus. I sketched it that night. Her throat constricted. Are you also an artist? She inquired. He nonchalantly shrugged his shoulders. Only when the topic evokes an emotional response in me. She delicately closed the book, cradling it against her chest. The traffic signal outside changed to green. Marcus refrained from driving promptly. Instead, he gazed at her, his voice subdued and assured. You no longer need to reside in obscurity. You can thrive and excel as you are. In that moment, surrounded by the city's illuminated skyline and filled with a profound sense of tranquility, Lena placed her trust in him. The expansive hall of the New Skin Beyond Pain Center was illuminated by a gentle golden light, accompanied by pleasant conversation and subdued reverence. The environment lacked a clinical atmosphere. It appeared to be animated. Flora flourished in expansive containers adjacent to the walls. A mural of outstretched hands, rendered in watercolor tones, adorned the rear wall beneath which a stage was established. The event marked the inauguration of the center's latest branch, established not only to address dermatological issues, but also to transform perceptions of unseen suffering. Lena positioned herself backstage, her fingers delicately clasped in front of her. She donned a lengthy, sophisticated gown of light blue, including sleeves that gently grazed her wrists, crafted from a delicate, breathable material. Her hair cascaded in uncomplicated curls, and a silver pendant shimmered at her neck. It had been precisely 1 year since her life transformed, since she saw a physician who regarded her as more than a mere symptom, since she suddenly discovered not only alleviation but also acknowledgement. And gradually, affection. She inhaled deeply. Prepared? A voice murmured adjacent to her. She pivoted. Marcus stood composed in his customary manner, adorned in a navy suit without a tie, complemented by a pocket square that matched her clothing. However, there was an unusual intensity in his eyes this evening, simultaneously stable and tumultuous. Nearly, she murmured. He gently contacted her elbow. A gesture that previously rendered her breathless with anguish now provided only solace. Shortly thereafter, he was summoned to the stage. Applause resonated around the room as he grasped the microphone. Marcus grinned, surveying the doctors, patients, donors, and strangers whose lives will soon be impacted by the endeavor that sprang with a singular pledge. He commenced. 1 year prior, I encountered a woman who eschewed physical contact, not due to a deficiency of affection, but because past trauma had imparted the lesson that touch equated to harm. He halted. She possessed an unusual ailment that led her body to perceive the slightest touch as agony. However, behind her exterior, it was her spirit that had been wounded by misinterpretation, by condemnation, and by silence. His tone became gentler. Nevertheless, she returned. She made an effort. She recovered. Today, she is not merely a survivor of allodynia. She epitomizes the essence of living with grace. Even when the world fails to comprehend you. He pivoted slightly towards the edge of the stage. This evening, he added, I wish to accomplish something I was previously unable to do. Lena inhaled sharply. Marcus advanced, gazing directly at her. Lena Tran, he stated, his voice resolute. May I caress you, not in a professional capacity, but as an enamored individual. Gasps resonated across the room as he gradually knelt on one knee and produced a ring, a delicate, refined band. Uncomplicated, enduring. He said, Will you marry me? Lena's hands swiftly covered her mouth. Tears surged immediately, not from fear or pain, but from an emotion she had never anticipated experiencing so openly. Joy, she exclaimed, laughing between her tears as she advanced. Marcus Williams, she stated, her voice quivering. I once believed I was incapable of love or being loved. I perceived my skin as a barrier, preventing anyone from remaining long enough to penetrate it. She grasped his hand, allowing their palms to connect. There are no gloves separating them. However, I have come to understand that love does not originate from physical contact. It arises from observing an individual, even when they attempt to evade detection. She crouched near him, acknowledging him with a smile. Absolutely, without reservation. The place resounded with applause. The moment was flawed. It was significantly greater. It was authentic. The wedding occurred 2 months later. Not within a cathedral, not in a ballroom, but in a serene garden behind the new clinic, around by patients, friends, and those who previously believed love was meant for others. Lena traversed the aisle in a gown crafted from supple organic cotton, meticulously created without zippers, abrasive seams, or sharp edges. Every aspect of it was tender, akin to the existence she had constructed. Marcus awaited her beneath an archway of white lilacs and violet. He did not don gloves. During the exchange of vows, neither party mentioned illness or suffering. They discussed comprehension, the significance of an individual's decision to remain, and the creation of a life in which no one had to recoil in the presence of love. As Marcus placed the ring on her finger, the world appeared to pause. No one witnessed the fireworks. At that moment, no one needed anything else, as all the illumination anyone needed resided in the eyes of the woman who had perceived her body as unlovable and now radiated besides the guy who demonstrated otherwise. One consistent therapeutic touch at a time. We appreciate your companionship during the poignant journey of Lena and Marcus, a narrative of suffering, recovery, and the subtle strength of love that seeks only comprehension. If this narrative resonated profoundly with you, please remember to subscribe to Soul-Stirring Stories. We present narratives that inspire, heal, and affirm that even the most fragile hearts may discover resilience, and even the most afflicted souls can find solace. Each week presents a new narrative, a renewed pulse, and an additional impetus to reaffirm faith and compassion. Profound narratives that resonate with the spirit. I look forward to our next encounter.